This is a short PowerPoint on the cultural and religious influences on food and nutrition. And towards the end, I'm also going to discuss the assignment that goes with this PowerPoint. So let's talk about some of the factors that influences culture and therefore food. One is what is available, what is edible. The role of food core foods is important because this could be the foundation of one's diet. Core foods are the staples that are consumed almost daily, like rice, corn, wheat, yams, cassava, taro, starches, although protein items are core foods in some cultures. Potatoes are core foods in some cultures as well. Rice is a core food of many Asians, particularly East Asians and Southeast Asians. And not just any rice, but white rice. If you look at the image here, this is an example of a menu in a fast food in the Philippines. Unlimited rice with a small piece of meat. Naturally, it's not just any rice, but white rice, generations of same taste, same consistency that they've been enjoying. But if you think of it, you might also relate this to poverty because there are many developing countries in Asia. Brown rice, the healthier option, is more expensive. And you can see this, the small pieces of meats are, of course, more expensive. That's why they compensate by just adding a lot of rice in their diet. That being said, Asian Americans have a higher risk of diabetes and cardiovascular disease than their non-Hispanic white counterparts with the same BMI. So another factor would be how food is prepared. I have here a picture of raw fish, which on rice, which is popularized by the Japanese. Another factor is the symbolism or the use of food. So some cultures view food as a symbol of love and comfort. Um, some societies see it as a symbol of camaraderie, of gathering, of family. In modern societies, food indicates the status of power and even wealth for individuals. Here's an image of the head of the family, also known as La Cabeza La Mesa. I hope I got that right. The head of the family is always sitting at the head of the table. So another one is when and how food is eaten. For example, in Italy, they eat breakfast as soon as they get up, and then lunch between 12:30 to 2. They have merienda or an afternoon snack, and then cena or dinner is between 7 to 8:30 p.m. So quite similar to what most Americans also have for times of meal. But then in Egypt, the main meal of the day happens in the middle of the afternoon or sometimes being put off until after work around 3 or 4 p.m. And dinner times could be as late as 9 to 10 p.m. Um, the American cuisine is a melting pot of foods and cooking methods that have been adapted and adopted from cuisines brought by immigrants such as early settlers, Native Americans, West African slaves, Mexican immigrants, Chinese and Italian immigrants, and more. So when immigrants come in and they bring in their food, they bring in their food culture, sometimes we can help that dietary acculturation will happen. This occurs when eating patterns of people who move change to resemble those of the host countries. So in the United States, acculturation is linked to increased risk of chronic disease and obesity. I mean, some people might come in and bring in their Mediterranean food culture, which happens to be very healthy, but sometimes we can help but get influenced um, by whatever is outside of our own home kitchens. So here are a few more examples of food and culture. So here are a few more examples of the influence of religion and culture to our nutrition and health. So Roman Catholics and fasting, the practice is avoiding food and beverages 1 hour before communion. There are also several fast days during the year. They do not eat meat on Ash Wednesday or Fridays in Lent. We call that the meat-free Friday. So for Catholics, on Fridays during Lent, they refrain from eating meat because Jesus sacrificed his flesh on Good Friday. But fish is permitted. And why is that? Because fish doesn't belong to the flesh meats. The Latin word caro, from which words like carnivorous and carne, applies to flesh meat only and does not include fish. Okay, fast food culture. The history of fast food in America runs parallel to the invention of the car. As the automobile industry developed, so did fast food. These two industries are so intertwined that most people today think of fast food as anything being served out of a window and into an automobile. So, fast food is everywhere. Street vendors, food trucks, delivery services, sports arenas, and even convenience stores and gas stations all sell food that can be bought fast, quickly, cheaply, and eaten on the fly. We've become such a fast food nation that, well, the once traditional sit-down dining experience presented in slower, more formal style is often reserved for special occasions, if at all. Um, another example I'd like to talk about is race, ethnicity, and geographic region are often inaccurately assumed to be synonymous with culture, and this leads to stereotypic grouping. Now let's look at the racial meaning of watermelon. So some of you may know that it may be impolite or even racist to ask a black person for watermelon. Why is that? Let's look at that history. Well, black people grew, ate, and sold watermelons during slavery for many reasons. The slave Israel Campbell would slip a watermelon into the bottom of his cotton basket when he fell short of his daily quota, and then retrieve the melon. At the end of the day, they ate it. And before it became a racist stereotype in the Jim Crow era, watermelon once symbolized black self-sufficiency. In fact, there's even a national watermelon day for that. Now, soon after winning their emancipation, many African Americans sold watermelons in order to make a living outside the plantation system. But now they did so, it was a threat to the racial order. To whites, it seemed as if the blacks were um, flaunting their newfound freedom, living off their own land, selling watermelon in the market, and worst of all, enjoying watermelon together in the public square. So the whites started using the stereotype to denigrate black people, to take something were using to further their own freedom and make it an object of ridicule. The fruit symbolized many of the same qualities as it would in post-American emancipation. And cleanliness because of eating watermelon is messy, laziness because growing watermelon is so easy, and because it's hard to eat watermelon and keep working, it's a fruit you have to sit down and eat. So unfortunately, all of those were used by the slavers to denigrate African Americans. It may seem silly to attribute so much meaning to a fruit, and the truth is that there is nothing inherently racist about watermelons. But cultural symbols have the power to shape how we see our world and the people in it. These symbols have roots in real historical struggles, specifically in the case of the watermelon. So, in the discussion portion, the accompanying assignment, you're going to find and discuss the specific influence of culture, religion, and ethnicity in food, pretty much shown in some of the examples I have discussed. In the discussion page I will create, you're going to post in any format that you like. Allow yourself to be creative. As usual, you could type your paragraph, but make sure you have um, carefully selected images attached to it. You can also create a 2-minute recorded slide presentation, even a PowerPoint, but with audio and images. You can do an infographic that you can develop or create yourself, a video that you could post on social media and share with us the link, or a video that you create just for this course. Some of you may know this, you can actually respond on the discussion with a short video recording using a Canvas inline recorder. I pasted here a quick video instruction on how to do that. Make sure you include your sources and read all your peer posts read all your peer posts that's due on Wednesday, and write at least 2 replies on two different days. Replies must be quality responses that add information to the discussion that furthers the conversation. Quality will be weighted more heavily than the quantity of your response. Avoid opinion-based and lower-order thinking replies that lead to students just regurgitating or repeating, just paraphrasing what already has been said.